Ready for another video of Luxaryio? Then, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe to the channel and click on the notification bell. We all make mistakes from time to time. Learn from your mistakes is a common phrase used to console someone who has made a mistake. Some errors, on the other hand, can be quite costly, costing potentially billions of dollars or even worse, putting lives in danger. Architecture and buildings are two disciplines where even little inaccuracies can be disastrous. However, you may believe that major construction megaprojects are meticulously planned, but this is not always the case. In this video, we'll look at how billion-dollar mistakes caused construction sites to be delayed for decades. First, we have the Shanghai Lotus Riverside complex collapse. The Lotus Riverside apartment complex collapsed spectacularly in 2009, almost intact. This raises concerns about China's safety regulations and how its hastily modernization may end in disaster like this one. Rome was not built in a single day, and neither should modern housing complexes. You can only imagine how terrifying it would be if people were living inside. The structure was nearly finished when construction workers were directed to dig an underground garage. As a result, the tower completely collapsed and the land near the river's bank became unstable. The government's requirement to safety checks on building sites, but something went wrong here, costing them one worker's life. Corruption has frequently been connected to the collapse of various structures in China. It's safe to say that people who live in the surrounding buildings are tired. The Chernobyl explosion. The greatest nuclear explosion in history occurred in the Soviet town of Pripyat, and the soil here will never be the same. This was a Class 7 nuclear accident that no one saw coming until it was too late. This photograph depicts the explosion that occurred at the Chernobyl power facility on April 26, 1986, a day that would impact history forever. Even after 30 years, this location is still incredibly radioactive. The explosion's dust sent dangerous particles throughout Europe, with Chernobyl serving as its epicenter. This image depicts the eerie abandoned control panel of reactor number 4, which appears to be eaten by dust. It would cost more than $250 billion to clean up, and much valuable land would be lost. Certainly a costly miscalculation on the part of someone. The Ford Pinto mistake. The Pintos will go down in history as one of the most expensive and dangerous engineering disasters. It was mass-produced and consumers flocked to acquire this low-cost alternative to other cars at the time. The Pinto was built with a flimsy gas tank near the rear bumper. A fender clash, for example, had the potential to ignite the fuel that was leaking out. Any form of spark produced by the impact resulted in massive flames. Further collision tests revealed how dangerous combustion it was. The last recall involved 1.5 million automobiles. Pinto's reputation was too tarnished for him to even make a comeback. The Abai Dam miscalculation. Should they have the right to create something on their territory that may harm neighboring countries? This dam in Ethiopia has caused conflict with neighbors such as Egypt and Sudan over the Nile River. Water rights. Given that the Nile has long been Egypt's main source of water, this could turn out to be a huge error in the future. People from all across the world have contributed to this project, which has a total of $4 billion. Countries such as China have lately made significant investments in Ethiopia's infrastructure, and another drought in the country might significantly put them back. On the other side, with crops, a surplus of water, and enough power, this hydroelectric dam might make Ethiopians rather affluent. Egypt is anticipated to be completely dry by 2025. Therefore, we suppose someone here would be upset. Any miscalculation on the dam might have disastrous effects. This idea has been openly mocked by media outlets such as Al Jazeera, and Sudan is attempting to remain neutral. It appears that countries need to meet and have a damn conversation. The Spanish submarine mistake. The Spanish government built the Isaac Pearl submarine in 2013. Engineers developed a submarine capable of reaching the ocean's depths. However, there was a blunder. The submarine was never able to re-emerge. The submarine engineers attempted to solve the problem by enlarging it, and it could no longer fit in the ports where it was supposed to live, resulting in more expensive changes. It cost the Spanish government a total of $2.2 billion. The Dubai aquarium leak. Who would have guessed that a single leaking panel joint could cause such havoc? Certainly not the engineers and construction workers who built Dubai's largest aquarium, known as the Inside Ocean. Fortunately, the leak was discovered in time, and all the animals in the aquarium survived. However, approximately $20 billion was spent to repair the breach without upsetting the hundreds of gigantic sharks and other unique creatures inside. The SNCF train mistake. In 2014, the French Rail Corporation, SNCF, produced 2,000 new trains. However, the trains were too big to fit through many of Europe's existing tunnels, small stations, and platforms. To correct the error, SNCF spent more than $20.5 billion on new trains. the Deepwater Horizon oil rig explosion. Images of the BP Deepwater Horizon explosion stunned the globe in 2010. Oil splattered the ocean for hundreds of kilometers, and it was one of the most never-seen-before environmental and economic disasters. Transocean was forced to pay $1.4 billion as a result of the U.S. Clean Water Act. BP was also forced to pay $65 billion in penalties, compensation, and losses. Tacoma Narrows Bridge collapse. In the state of Washington, USA, a twin suspension bridge known as the Tacoma Narrows Bridge was completed in 1940 to span the Tacoma Narrows Strait. It was the third largest suspension bridge at the time, and it was the first cable suspension bridge to employ a sequence of plate girders as roadbed support. The total cost of construction was anticipated to be roughly $6 million, which is comparable to $1 billion in today's dollars with inflation. However, the bridge on which all of the money was spent lasted barely 4 months and 7 days. Due to engineering problems, the bridge would dangerously buckle in high gusts, and swaying could be noticed even in light winds. The wind speed on the day of its collapse was roughly 19 ms, and due to aeroelastic flutter, both sections of the bridge twisted in opposite directions, causing it to collapse into the river. Fortunately, no human lives were lost. This engineering issue has remained a popular topic of this day, and subsequent research has resulted in a new theory for construction: wind theory oscillations. The Aon Center blunder. The Aon Center, formerly known as Amoco Building, was erected in 1974 and is currently one of Chicago's tallest structures. Initially, the structure was regarded as an architectural marvel in the city, a straightforward rectangular, tubular steel-framed building. Its coating with Carrara marble imported from Tuscany set it apart, making it the world's largest marble-clad building. However, because of the material's thinness, the magnificent and distinct feature of the building facade began to grow multiple fissures, causing portions of the slab to detach and drop down below as well. This resulted in a redesign of the structure in the 1990s, with the marble being replaced with more acceptable granite at a very significant cost. The building blunder ended up costing a whopping $80 million. The walkie-talkie turns walkie-scorchy. 20 Fenchurch Street is a commercial building in London known as the walkie-talkie because of its distinctive design. The pricey tower, completed in 2014 and costing over £200 million, proved itself to be an expensive construction blunder. The glass facade and radian of the building resulted in the structure becoming a large concave mirror reflecting sunlight into the street in front for around 2 hours every day. There have been reports of cracked tiles, burnt carpets, and the melting of paint and even cars due to the severe heat of roughly 72 degrees Celsius. These episodes earned the skyscraper a new moniker, the Walkie-Scorchy. Sunscreen was applied to its curving face to decrease glare, but correcting this architectural flaw cost almost £10 million. The Sydney Opera House failure. The Sydney Opera House is beloved across the world, yet despite appearances, it's one of the world's failures undertakings in both of the planning and construction. The construction was planned to be built in 4 years with a budget of $7 million Australian dollars, but it took 14 years and cost $14 million Australian dollars in total. In addition, due to the acoustical faults and poor architecture, the opera theater became a venue where musicians couldn't hear their music. The opera house and stage production halls were inadvertently exchanged and housed incorrectly, resulting in an additional cost of around $300 million Australian dollars to correct the acoustics. Seongsu Bridge collapse. The major part of the Seongsu Bridge in Seoul collapsed into the Han River in 1994, killing 31 people. The bridge was meant to carry a load of 36.3 tons per car. However, vehicles weighing 47.3 tons could also use it. The state council paid $185,000 to pay for the tragically lost lives, as well as $2 million in repairs as a result of the bridge taking on an extra load and an engineering defect revealed in some joints post-investigation. It was then determined that a couple of repairs and scheduled maintenance were not completed. And lastly, we have the Apollo 13 space mission error. 2 of Apollo 13's oxygen tanks failed due to an engineering flaw. Within 3 hours, all of the oxygen had been gone. Fortunately, no astronauts were lost. However, the expedition was forced to return to Earth earlier than planned, and none of the mission's objectives were met. It's believed that the US government spent $283 billion on this. With that, we have come to the end of today's video. Hope you found it entertaining. Make sure to like and share our video, and if you want us to do a video on any topic, tell us in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel while doing that. Thank you for watching. See you in the next